Hey, buddy. You're such a dick. uh, that's amazing.
How's it going,
How
Paul?
you Pretty good. How are you?
I'm a little bit better now. This is funny for multiple reasons, because I sat down to do the podcast and I forgot. I went to the gym late last night, which means I showered last night, which means I didn't shower this morning, which means that I didn't comb my hair this morning. And I sat down and I was a little more scraggly than.
You had like it was like a flower bloom on the side of your head there.
Yeah. And then I come back and Paul's deep in the throes of some sort of battle.
I got, when you play Call of Duty on the Xbox, it actually has a warning in the beginning of the game now that says, don't play this over Wi-Fi. And it's because people like me must have complained, because I know everyone thinks that every time they die, it's like some kind of a lag death or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I die, I have some games where it's fine, but you can always tell when it's just off. Like the guy runs by you and you're like, tick, 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 and there's no way he dodged those bullets. He's not in the Matrix. But it's just like I don't know what you call it, like a latency lag kind of thing. It's just terrible. I got to figure out an Ethernet thing.
I believe they call it desync.
Okay.
Where you're not aligned.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, with each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Things that aren't aligned with each other, Paul, are this thing back here, which Microsoft promised in November of 2017, and it will not be arriving until, I guess, at the earliest,
April
February,
2019.
March,
Yeah.
2018, something, or 2019. 2019. Yep. So this is, Sets. For those who aren't aware, Microsoft announced yesterday that Sets, the little tabbed interface that they clearly didn't rush out the door to make the announcements after Stardock announced Groupie, is not coming until at earliest the spring of 2019. So if you're looking forward to that, don't be, because it's not coming in the fall.
Well, I mean, so a couple of things, just to be fair to Microsoft. They do a terrible job of communicating. So if you look at Donna's post, she just says it's coming in a future build. It's remotely possible that it's just going to be gone for a couple of builds and we'll come back and we'll make it into RS5. I don't believe that, but I just... the other thing is, they're trying to be better about setting more realistic expectations, I had my infamous overpromise, under-deliver post from last July that apparently upset a few folks over at Microsoft, and they're not, Joe B now twice publicly has kind of come out and said, well, some people misunderstood. We thought, we were being clear, and it's like, no one misunderstood. You can go to the tape and see exactly what you said, but they're trying not to do that stuff anymore. And so Sets has always been kind of weird. It's been like A/B testing, which maybe should have been a hint. And whatever, they need to get it right. It's one of those things they can't half-ass. It's a feature of Windows 10. It's not like an app that can update every 2 weeks or whatever. So, this one has to work reasonably well, because functionally it's not going to get updated again until the next release. So, like you said, we have Groupie if you need that stuff.
Yep, but that's a fun one. Maybe they'll kick out an update for my people and make that useful instead.
Actually, the kind of wider problem, and I only alluded to this briefly at the end of a post I just made about this topic, is what is RS5 now? If you kind of go down the list of what's new, you get some of the expected stuff: improvements to Cortana, improvements to Edge. Maybe the dark theme is going to happen. It's going to look terrible. It doesn't really matter. There's really not a lot of big bucket features, right? I mean, which is okay. But it makes me wonder what they're going to market this thing as. And my guess is it's going to be privacy and security, because that was another big focus in that blog post for some reason. This weird little manifesto appears right in the middle of the post where it's like, our commitment, and it's like what does this have to do with this build?
There's something
else
in there that they mentioned about snipping tool. And I forget.
Yeah, they're getting rid of it.
Yep. Maybe they should just buy ShareX and integrate that natively, because that's what everyone in the world should be using, because it is the perfect utility. But here we are.
I agree. So actually, and thanks to you were the one who told me about it. I actually installed that on all my computers. In fact, I use it for my book screenshots because I can take pictures on a different PC and I have them saved to this PC automatically just by hitting the print screen button. It's excellent. They're introducing a new way to take screenshots in this version of Windows 10 too. And I joked about that at the time, like, oh, good, another way to take a screenshot, because there's already like a million ways, including the snipping tool. But I guess what they're saying here is that's going to be going away. So they're going to be consolidating our screen capture options, which is great too. Like, right, it's not going to happen in RS5, but it probably will happen in a future release.
Yep. But I don't know. There's just a lot of random kind of ish changes, but feels like they're taking more than they're giving.
Well, right. Well, I mean, so the privacy thing is kind of humorous and kind of falls into that category as well, because if you really read what they write there, their commitment to our privacy, the commitment is we're going to send your data from the computer to Microsoft, but we're going to let you know what that data is. And the way we're going to do that is to provide this. If you looked at this tool, this I don't forget what they call it, the data transparency tool, whatever it is. It's like it's an XML viewer. Like what it shows you is XML, which isn't horribly unreadable, but
it's not great.
It's transparent if you're a computer. Like it's not. Anyway, what they're not giving you is the ability to actually turn it off, right? What they are giving you is the ability to have basic or complete data transmission, and then they kind of explain what those things are, and then you can look at what is eventually what is essentially an XML version of an event viewer. I don't know. I don't find that to be particularly friendly.
No, but I guess it's, I don't know.
Better than nothing. Yeah.
Right. And then there are, to their credit, there are a bunch of changes coming to Edge if that's your thing. One we already knew about because I accidentally kind of posted it last time, but that didn't happen, which was the killing of auto-playing videos. That is now there. There's a bunch of other changes, but the only one I really want to point out is you can now remove all the stupid useless icons up by the title bar. That if you didn't want them in there, you can now fully remove them. I don't know why it took
You can also add some. Like they have, they have this interface in Edge. It's kind of a weird app, but they're making it nicer. I mean, the UX or whatever, but there's a hub in there that has your favorites, your reading lists, your downloads. I'm missing something. Your ebooks, I think, are in there. And but if you just want to access favorites, and not the other stuff, or you want to just access reading list easily, you can actually add those icons now right to the toolbar, and then go directly to that thing. And that's cool because they have that hub interface, whatever that means. They can use that. If people like that, it's fine. They can still use it, but they can go directly to those places now too, which I think is smart.
Yeah, and Edge is fine. I'm back on Chrome, but the only reason is because the Grammarly plugin doesn't work very well in Edge right now.
Yeah.
It binds up the text, like literally, like you try to go to enter text in WordPress and it just like locks up the window for about 5 seconds, and then you can start typing, which is a bit annoying.
It's interesting. I've had a WordPress issue twice now, and now you're making me wonder if it's not Grammarly related, but it catches a like a grammar or spelling error, and I select it where I need to insert text, and I start typing, and you can see things moving, but it's not typing where I am, and it's where it's typing is up at the top of the document, and it's like, guys,
it very well might be Grammarly.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. And then the other big news du jour is that Amazon is buying PillPack, which is actually out of Paul's old stomping ground out of Boston. And basically you're going to be able to get your drugs from Amazon now. And that's a really big deal. I think Walgreens and like CVS and all those companies, their stock was just falling faster than sets out of the latest build of Windows.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Amazon is the most voracious company on earth.
Yep.
If you sell something and you're thinking, well, they don't sell this, so I don't have to worry about Amazon, you're not thinking correctly, because their goal is to sell everything. And I mean, this doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I've never heard of this company, by the way, but
Yeah, they were, I believe, a startup, and they were,
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it sold for about $1 billion, which $1 billion's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but in the world of buying companies, $1 billion isn't astronomical. I mean, that's 1/7 of a Nokia?
Yep. And I don't know this for a fact, but I don't believe that Amazon has a particularly rich history of acquiring companies. And that may make this kind of notable as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch in there, but obviously they acquired Twitch, but
yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, right.
but
Yeah,
it's not a ton of them, I don't think. Although maybe they just only buy smaller companies, and that's why we don't really know them.
Yeah, I think they're more like Apple in that regard. You don't see a lot of big bang purchases, but yeah, actually, Twitch is a good example.
I mean, what they are good at buying is Microsoft employees because they've acquired quite a few.
Well,
of them.
Look, a lot of Microsoft people, like I do, and Mary Jo does, and all of us know of people. When you leave Microsoft, the first stop is always Amazon. Everyone from Microsoft, it seems, ends up at Amazon, at least for a little while.
Yep.
And I have dozens of examples of people like that. And the famous one, of course, is Charlie Kindle, who started their Echo business. And he recently left the company, but he was there for several years, longer than I would have expected, and way more successful than I would have expected, providing them with a product that, frankly, not that he did it single-handedly, but he was part of a team that did this, that, is the type of thing Microsoft should have made.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day.
You know what I'm surprised Amazon hasn't built yet? Is a web browser.
Well, actually, they have for their Kindles. Yeah, I think it's called Silk.
I'm surprised.
Kindle HD browser, or what do you call them? Kindle Fire HDs or whatever.
Yeah, that kind of seems. I don't know. Amazon's such a weird company because all of this growth is funded by their enterprise stuff, which is AWS, and then they just are building out their retail business on top of it.
That's actually kind of interesting. So one of the things that people criticize Google for is that everything that they do is funded by ads. And it seems kind of crappy, right? It's like they're selling ads. Nobody likes ads. And then they make so much money doing this, they can basically enter new markets,
Right.
Amazon, like you said, they have retail operations, and they have, which probably, frankly, has really never made money, I guess. But they're going gangbusters on the enterprise stuff with cloud services, and that stuff is super popular and very successful. Microsoft was able to leverage Windows to enter new markets successfully or not, over the years. Apple is so successful with the iPhone that they leverage that to try to enter new markets to varying degrees of success. iPad, Apple Watch are kind of related hardware products, but also now services is a huge thing, right? So there's a story this week today about a rumored kind of combination subscription service for TV shows, news, which is kind of weird, and music. And I of those companies, I don't really begrudge them these capabilities, except for kind of Google, right? Like the Google one kind of sucks because it's like you're selling ads. It's just so terrible. But, they make good stuff.
Like Calendar. Google Calendar is fantastic.
They do make
Sunrise was fantastic until that got old Yellard. So,
a Nokia, as we say, as it got Lumiad.
Wow.
Yep.
Sorry. You got anything else for today, Paul?
No. I'm actually going to be on a Richard Campbell podcast today, but you won't be able to see it or hear it. I think it's just audio, but he doesn't do it live, so it might even be a week or two before that comes out. But I'm still hoping I'm going to use this as the opening of my talking to developers thing, because I've been meaning to talk. I've got a guy from Corel I'm going to talk to, and a guy who writes I don't know if I should say what the app is, but it's kind of like a media app for Windows 10, in the store, and some other folks I want to talk to, and just to kind of get a handle on what's actually happening there, So I'll see what Richard's perspective on this should be interesting. So
yeah, no, that'll be good.
What about you?
Well, thanks for asking. I really don't have much. I've got, to be honest, I'm going to hang up this podcast and then I'm going to run to UPS to return something. Paul, I will tell you what is actually supposed to arrive at my house today.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the most delicious review unit potentially in all of history. It is a bottle of Kit Kat sake.
Oh, wow. So you did get that.
Well, it's supposed to be here. We'll see if it actually gets delivered in one piece. But
and where did this come from again?
It came from Ducks. Well, he literally came from Japan, but he was on the Twitters, and I saw him. I was like, "Ooh, that looks delicious!" And then he very kindly brought me a bottle, and he shipped it to my house. And so,
wow, that's interesting.
Well, we'll find out. As we all know, Japan has a very wide variety of flavors of things. Some good, some not so.
Some weird, and some kind of on the Hello Kitty end of the spectrum. But yes.
Yep. So I'm waiting for that to show up, but I don't know.
Let's go.
I think that does it for today. All right, folks. So that wraps it up, and we should be back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time, as long as Paul remembers, because he didn't last week, at thurrott.com/live. And have yourselves a wonderful Thursday, and we'll see you tomorrow.
You are a bitter, bitter man.
Well, you didn't show up.